Iceland has a mask on, Lourdes does. I see a couple of police officers in, and some don't. Personal choice. So, at what point, if it were up to the mayor, we'd live in a hyperbaric chamber for the next 5 years. Because that's just his view on this thing. But at the end of the day, is it going to be a new vaccine? Is it a triple vaccine? What is going to be the point at which we decide that people now get to, we don't live in Russia or China. And you're talking about we should put mandates on people because they're not responsible enough to take personal responsibility, that we can't give them that choice. We need to impose it on them, because that's what I'm hearing. They're too immature to make their own choices about whether to wear a mask or not. We have to mandate it on them. I don't agree with that. This is America, and that's not the American way. People can make that decision. After 75%, and in fact 75% is above the threshold that supposedly we're going to give us herd immunity. And after 75%, we're still hearing, oh, it's not going to be the vaccine. What is it going to be? Cherry pie? So, anyway, Mr. City Manager, if you think you have the ability to make that decision on your own, please go ahead. I don't agree that the city manager should be given that responsibility. We should take it on. We are the ones that people elected. That way, if people are listening to me right now, in 4 years they could say, that Douglas, he didn't do enough to protect our community. We're going to vote him out. They didn't elect the city manager. Let's take the heat for it. Let's make the decision ourselves.
There's a motion pending.
Hey, but
Commissioner
he's
Studo.
in this building working every single day and we're not. So if he feels there's 300 people in this building and only 200 are vaccinated and 100 are not, if he feels he's in this building working with them, he wants to be able to protect. Wait. You said
if he creates a mask mandate for staff, it's also for the public. Remember, it's not just about staff. Remember, when there's a mask mandate, now members of the public has to do the same.
But they're working in this building, so he wants to be able to feel comfortable with the people.
So are you suggesting then that we have a mandate for staff, but the public then gets to choose whatever they want to do?
Look, we're going to get back to the same thing that happened in the beginning. We were the first cities to shut down because the county didn't want to shut down. Then the county wanted to open up. We were the last one to open. I mean, it's going to start again, whether we're all together as 31 municipalities in Broward and the county, or everybody's going to do their own thing. And that's the problem. We can never agree on everything, and everybody's going to do their own thing.
And this can't just be about staff. Remember, when we have a citywide mandate, it affects the public who uses the building. So are we prepared to tell the public that they now need to come here in a mask? Because the city manager, I think the day when this whole thing came up, the city manager says, I feel I have the authority to deal with my staff, but I want to hear from the commission about whether they want us to impose it for the public.
Sitting behind the public service counter are wearing a mask. But all these residents that now are going to be coming up to them with no mask, maybe they don't feel, I'm saying, but maybe our employees don't feel comfortable. So
let's just call a spade a spade. A virus is so tiny, you can't even see it with a light microscope. You have to use a special microscope. Do you think any of these masks are protecting us? No. This is false safety. The virus flies right through that. You can't even, we're all wrapped up in this thing about masks. Who has one over on that side versus who has one over on this side? It's false security, because we probably have all taken basic science and know that viruses are smaller than bacteria. You can't even see it with a regular light microscope. What makes us think that a cloth mask or even these little things we put on protects us? Well, and then it's not the vaccine. That if we can't be protected.
I would just say, so we can end this, I would leave it to the two chiefs that are sitting in the back of the room for what they want to do in their building. The city manager, you have whatever right that you want to do in your building until someone calls a special meeting and puts it on the agenda and we're going to do a vote. But I would just say, you have whatever information that just came out today from CDC, the county, the school board, whatever, put your sign up in the window if you feel, and the same with the two chiefs to do the same, and that if they feel comfortable saying due to these times until we figure out if we're going to do a mask mandate. But if we can't come to an agreement tonight to do a mandate or whatever, then I would just leave it to you as the person of this building. And then, but not only you're for this building and every other municipality building that other people are at, leisure services or whatever, for now, until we could have a special meeting to figure out what it is.
Commissioner Scuda, I appreciate that. Thank you for that suggestion.
If we're not,
I want to be clear. My request for a mask mandate is not un-American. This is not me wanting to be Russia.
I'm not disagreeing.
It is not unpatriotic to request a mask mandate. The suggestion of that is hyperbole at best and offensive at worst. But I understand in the heat of the moment.
What I said was un-American, Mayor, is your principle of having to impose things on people because you think adults are not responsible enough. That's the portion of it that I said is un-American. You want to run this like a dictatorship.
All right.
So,
That again.
hold on, the mayor has the floor.
Mayor Ryan, so we just don't go around and around.
The mayor has the floor,
Okay.
and I'll recognize you next. Mayor Ryan?
That proves my point. That is the vitriol that has consumed the nation and our state. I am requesting this mask mandate, not because I'm un-American or I want to dictate. These are the same arguments that were made in 1918 in the pandemic, and the people who said, no, this is not what we should do. And it turns out we haven't progressed in 100 years in that regard. I believe, based upon what the school board is doing, the county's done, the CDC is recommending, what local businesses are doing, and what we should do to protect the mission is very basic. It's to request and mandate a mask be worn. We can address the issues of what happens if it doesn't, but that's not for us. Our job is to protect our employees and to make sure the mission is protected paramount. And so I believe Mark has that responsibility and that obligation and authority. But I will admit, it is difficult for the city manager because when we leave here tonight, if one or more of us are in disagreement with what